So here we are at Figma.com, and just real quickly, just to go through this landing page, it's just going to give you some basic overview, blah, 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 about the features, but we're going to get into that ourselves. The main thing I wanted to look at real quick was just the pricing area. And this is one of the most impressive things about this, because basically, if you are an individual, it's free. I had to do a search for that, even though it was up top. I knew it was somewhere. But yes, if you're working with a team, then this is the right plan for you. I would definitely make this bigger if I was the Figma team, because I glossed right over that. It's kind of important. So yeah, if you're a freelancer like most people are, which I don't have any claim to back that up, but if you're a freelancer, it's free and it's 100% awesome. And then if you're working with a team of some sort, you know, you can, if you have up to 3 projects, you're fine. It's free. It's only $12 a month if you want a bunch of stuff. So basically, you want to sign up rather. And I already did that to make it easy with a Google sign-in. And once you're there, and you probably have to confirm your account unless, of course, you're using Google. I just accidentally created that. There we go. This is a completely web-based interface, and also, just as in the previous tutorial where I covered Gravit Designer, they also have a desktop version, and of course that's made possible with Electron. If you don't know what that is, do a search on my channel for that, but basically it allows you to create native desktop apps for multiple operating systems using web technologies. So basically you can kind of just, in a sense, clone their existing code base here that works in the browser, but also make it work for native desktops and add, you know, special additional functionality. But I'm just going to need to use this the desktop version here, and you can see I am in the browser. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So the first thing to get started is just this new file icon up there. And as we could see, if you've been paying attention to any of my channel at all lately, I've been covering prototyping tools, and it has a similar interface, you know, where we have our canvas in the middle, properties on the right, we have some tools up here, and then we have a layer section down here, and also a couple other things that we'll take a look at in a little bit. But first, how do we actually start with a project or a canvas of some sort, or an artboard? Well, we do that right here. We click on this tool, and then it shows us this stuff on the right. Now, I would change that because I was kind of confused when I first used this, and mind you, I've only used this once, so it made it confusing. You know, okay, I had to click there to figure out where to start. This should be selected by default. That way you have your templates here to get started. So I'm just going to choose iPhone X. And notice we have our 3 tabs right here: Design, Prototype, because yes, this is a prototyping tool as well, unlike a few of the others that we've covered. And then also Code, which will provide you with CSS code depending on which elements you're selecting. So here is our artboard. And again, just to talk about, which I've done in the previous tutorials, you know, how do we move around in here? So spacebar, very simple and standard. You can zoom up holding the Control key, which is kind of different. I'm used to holding the Alt key, but the Alt key, if I press that, allows you to go up and down. So just, you know, minute differences, nothing big. So once we have this selected, again, if you select anything, including the artboard, you're going to have all the options show up here. Like if you want to change the background color, here we go in the backgrounds section. I'm going to leave it white, but just to look at this, which is pretty much a universal color picker for any element, we have our ability to select any type or shade of colors and the lightness and darkness down here. We can have it output hex. It's hex by default, or RGB, CSS, HSB. We can change the opacity, and there's also a slider right here for that. And then we have a swatch section down here, and we can add new by clicking that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start designing a mobile app, or just a mobile version of a web app. And I'm not going to get too in depth. I really just, the purpose is just to learn this application. So Let's start off with a rectangle, and I'm just gonna, maybe this would be like the splash screen or the very first screen. Let's drag this up. All right, so it does have guides exactly as you would want. So if I get this there, it snaps nice into place. All right, let's make it a primary color, something like around a blue. Maybe we'll turning it up just a slight notch. There we go. So now with this selected, we can add this as a custom color down here. Would have been nice if they added it up there. What is personal colors, document colors? Okay, that's better. There we go. Switch to document. All right, so let's say for instance we wanted to change the actual physical shape of this rectangle beyond just scaling it up and down, left and right. So double clicking it will get us into a mode from which we can now access the anchor points. So if I just take this one, hold shift, go down, look at that, cool. What if we wanted to add an anchor point? Can it do that? So let's see here. Sweet. And notice it's snapping right here in the middle, just as we would want it to. So if I left click, did it add it? Well, let's see. So if I hit escape and hit V, which is kind of the universal shortcut for a move tool in most applications, there we go. It is a part of our shape now. Awesome. So what about the bend tool? There we go. So now we can create a nice sort of Bezier curve. All right, so let's see if we can take multiple anchor points and move them down. Select V to go back to the move tool. Whoa, I just created the Nike swoosh almost. All right, let's bring this back up. Let's play around with this some more. All right, this is quite intuitive, I have to say. So select this, we can get back to just the regular select mode. Let me double click this and take all these three and drop them down, drag them down rather. Okay, that wasn't snapping though this time, so maybe I'll just use my keyboard arrow keys. Okay, so to get out of the mode where you're in the anchor points, you just double click outside. Notice I still didn't get that lined up correctly. So all this is just helping me to kind of get acquainted with this, with the move tools and such. Looks like this one got moved on its own. There we go. All right, great. So how about duplicating? Let's see, what would it take to do that? Select it, Control D, duplicate selection. Very easy, as you would expect, but you know, you have to do it because sometimes with these apps, certain no-brainer things are left out. So I've just duplicated and moved up with my keyboard arrow key. Just now, I did see a comment that somebody said there's no skewing tools up here. So edit object, of course, gets us into that object mode. The bend tool, I don't think will probably help us here. The pen tool has just have a pencil tool. Yeah, so I don't believe right now there is any type of skewing, but that's okay. Let's take these down. I don't know, I'm just experimenting here. I'm not sure if I necessarily like that. Maybe I'll bring this one and hide it. All right. So let's duplicate this. Let's rotate it, see how that works. All right, as you would expect, hold shift. All right, so now we have this big thing hanging up here. Now that's because it's not really considered a part of this artboard. So, because most of it's hanging outside of it. If we drag this in here, all right, so I know one way that we can tackle this, or we can fix this. We can just take the rectangle tool, make it match the very top of the canvas, select both, and this is where we can use this section, which is equivalent to like Adobe Illustrator's Pathfinder, where we can do different things with multiple selections here. So we can subtract the selection. Voila, now we have that part up top. Awesome. So of course we have opacity down here. You can use once you have any of these selected, these text fields with these numeric values, you can use your keyboard up and down arrow keys. I don't like this though, but again, I wanted to demonstrate this tool right here. This is really important if you're working with shapes and you're creating vectors here. So let's see about, can this import SVG files that you're using? So let's say, for instance, we want to use some material IO icons. So material IO icons, let's type in traffic light. Okay, so we click this. We'll choose, let's just make it we'll leave it black. And then we'll choose SVG to download it. All right, so we're going to show this in the folder. This showed up off my screen. But what I'm going to do is just drag it onto my desktop. All right, so if I move this and I show this right here, and then we go back to our app. There we go. Can we drag this in? Yes, we can. That's awesome. Just like you can in Adobe XD. And I presume other apps. I didn't try that with Gravit Designer. I'm not sure. But now we can notice that this inherently is a group, because we can see this little drop, or this little arrow. If we click it, we'll see that we have our vectors here already. That's how Material IO icons are, though. They give you a background, like a container in each one. But so let's say, for instance, you wanted to change this color to the blue that we've been using. When you select it, it's just going to select a group, and it has the background as white. That's not what you want to do. You can actually get to the inner layers here by double-clicking onto it. And now we can choose our primary color. Awesome. All right, so let's get that centered up. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Shift and Alt will allow you to scale up. So so far my impressions are very positive of this app. I mean, it's behaving exactly as I would hope it would behave. So let's just type in my app. Now, this is using the Montserrat font that I've always been using. This is they allows you to use, I think this is part of Google Web Fonts. So you have a ton of awesome fonts that you can use already. They're already ready to go. So the type tool, of course, you have all your justifications here. You have your line height, you have your letter spacing, paragraph spacing, and indentation. Let's see here. For our fill, let's go ahead and just use... Yeah, it's a completely blue-ass app right here. So this is looking pretty good so far. Let's increase the size. Keyboard up arrow key, perfect. My app. Let's make a button. So how would a button work? Oh, by the way, let's get that out there. So we have the rectangle tool. Let's just go from the very left to the very right, even though I don't want it to. And the reason I'm doing that is because it will allow me to very easily hold the Alt key while left clicking and dragging in. And that way it's completely centered up for me. All right, so does this have the little corner border radiuses? All right, well, let's zoom up. So Control mouse wheel, and there we go. We could see it right there when you get a little bit closer. So it gives us our ability to change the radiuses very easily. All right, so let's change this ugly gray color to, we'll make this white. Something that really contrasts well. Let's get our button call to action text out here. So I'm just left clicking and dragging to create a text area. So let's see, we'll just call this, let's get going. Some type of unique call to action text. Let's get this now. And again, we're going to use our swatches here. Let's get this centered up. There we go. Nice. What about drop shadows? All right, so let's have a drop shadow on here. And again, drop shadows are one of those things that you could really screw up. So only use them if you know what you're doing. You might kill kittens. So effects, this is where you're going to access your drop downs along with inner shadows, layer blurs, and background blur. There we go. Drop shadow. If you want to change the options, let's zoom up a little bit.